Trick opening boxes. They're a much sought after section of mechanical puzzles. Each of them is a box which you have to find how to open it, how to take the lid off and get to the contents. The granddaddy of them, I suppose, are these wonderful Japanese boxes with sliding panels, where typically the sides slide up or down, and then you've got to slide the lid and the top back and forward. This one is quite a complicated one with about 20 or so steps, and I won't do it all, but the idea is you keep pushing down and pushing across and so on, and eventually the top comes off. About 28 moves this one is, but they all have the same process. You slide something here, you slide something there, you slide something across there, and there's many different versions. But also in this range there are several other different sorts. A friend of mine made this superb little box here, in which in order to get to the contents you merely have to push hard just in the corner here, and it pops out. Oh, the other side. Oh God, I've lost. Oh, there we are, yes. Nearly beaten myself. A small little ball bearing inside just to confuse you. So it's a kind of secret panel or secret thing to push. And this peculiar looking thing, which I think came from Sri Lanka, you have to again pull and push these quite hard because it's quite stiff wood, and then move it down, and then here the little panels will slide apart, or hopefully if you can get to them. But they're quite tough, and of course with wood like this it swelled a bit. So these are all ones with secret panels that you have to move and manoeuvre and find out where the panels are. So that's one genre really of these extraordinary boxes. There's about a dozen different genres, and that's the first one of them. This extraordinary crate looking thing is the second category, is the secret grip box. You've got to grip it in a certain way. It's actually a diagonal grip if I can find it. There we are. So it looks like there's no opening at all, but when you grip it on this diagonal like this, then the box will open and you can get to the contents. It's very hard, although it looks so easy now that I've shown you, to find that particular position to grip it in, because any other place you try to grip, nothing will happen, nothing will open, and this diagonal grip is a harder one to find. A more subtle one is this one here, which requires centrifugal force. You've got to spin it round. You've got to first of all make sure that this, that's right, that's in that position. Now if I spin it hard like that, I can lift it up even harder. And, oh, there's the last nail. So we've got a bunch of nails there which are going to fall back down, and they're going to fall into these little holes, and a bunch of nails are going to fall into those holes. And to get these two lots of nails to move, if I merely tilt it like that, all that happens is the nails will disengage, but then these ones will come down. So what you really need is gravity going both ways, and that's centrifugal force. Spin it round, the nails fly out, and then the box will open and then close again. This one is a wheat magnet, which is quite a subtle one. It's fairly recent, in the last 20 years. Inside is a little magnet which, when you knock the box somehow, I think it's this side or this side, then the lid will slide back. But if you knock it too much, actually, I find then the magnet comes back up again. There we are. And now this will slide back up like that, and this will open. The slightly frustrating thing about this is the actual mechanism. The little magnets is not at all easy to see. There is in fact a little magnet just in that little hole there, and inside here is a rod that's being attached to that. So when I push that back in again, like this, and now I tilt it back, the magnet's now holding on to that little thing, and it won't move. So I need to do a little tap, and then the lid comes off. A wheat magnet is a very subtle one. You just need to give it a little bang in a certain place, and then the box will open. And probably the hardest one, which is I find so hard, I've actually left it open for me to do, is one with a little ball bearing inside and a maze. And the idea is you actually have to solve this difficult maze. You start with a ball down here, and somehow inside you've got to imagine where the ball is and move it around. If I close that box like that, it's now reset, and although there's a nice little spring against it, that will not now open again until I've manoeuvred this ball bearing all the way through this complicated maze to the top point here, and then it'll open again. Well, that took me quite some time to do, so I won't do it again. So there's principles there, 4 or 5 different principles of trick opening boxes, each of them created by and made by very, very competent craftsmen. The earliest one being this one here, which has been out for probably 100 years or more. The others are very recent. Trick opening boxes, and there's a very rich field of ideas.